What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 4th&15 with Mel and Smooth. I am Mel, and joining me as always is Ronnie, Big Smooth Hennigan. Smooth, what's happening, man?
Not a whole lot, Mel. Just checking out these games, man. March Madness in full effect. As you can see, I
Man.
still rep my team in defeat. Defeat. Okay. And we got beat the first round, but we made it, you know. But hey, man, it is what it is, bro. What about you?
You know what? It's been a great weekend. Spent it with family. Uh, the Crunch made their official return. We'll talk about
Yes,
that later
yes.
on in the show. And uh, they showed out, man. They showed out. And it's been some surprises, not only in the world of March Madness, but in the world of NCAA sports, period. So we'll touch
Oh
on all
yeah.
of that when we get a chance. This is Women's History Month. And because it's Women's History Month, we felt it was necessary to have a show with a woman on. So our guest for the night is the queen of epicness, as well as the queen of MCW herself, the original queen, as I've been told to say. My bad. Bobbinette John. Bobby, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, fellas. I'm so happy to be here.
Hey,
No
we're happy to
problem.
have
No
you.
problem.
To hear you guys are doing
Okay.
something about Women's Month, thank you guys. It means a
Oh,
lot.
oh yeah.
We can't leave y'all out considering how we come from women. So yeah,
Hey, without women,
I
we
don't
wouldn't
want to.
be here. So,
Yeah,
you
still a
know,
man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a boy or a girl.
the seed is nothing without soil.
Right,
Just saying.
right. Okay, Bobby, take us through humble beginnings. What was life like for you growing up? How did you get into the wrestling game, and what brought you to that decision? So let's start from the beginning.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Cleveland on the West Side. I've always been a West Sider. Uh, no offense to either of you. Grew up on the West Side. My
All good.
cousins, however, back when in the early 80s, I'm not dating myself, but in the early 80s, my cousins were watching wrestling on tape. They had WrestleMania, I think maybe 2 or 3 on VHS, and we were playing in the living room like all of us did. And I picked up a pillow and I used it as a chair. And my cousin said, "Girls don't wrestle." That stuck with me throughout all of my life because it's one of those, excuse me, yes, they do. And it was something I always wanted to do. I was the first girl in my junior high at Hillside because I grew up, my later years were in the Parma area. I was the first girl to join the wrestling team. And, there was a lot of stuff with that because, again, only girl and, a curvaceous girl of color in a suburban Brecksville, Broadview Heights type area. So there
Oh
were
yeah, it
issues
get
with
ugly.
mhm, issues with that. But I wanted to be a female who did something that not other girls did. I couldn't stand cheerleaders. I still can't stand cheerleaders. They're too peppy. They need to be smacked. I
Oh
say this
Lord.
even as one of my best
Oh
friends is a
man.
cheerleader. It's just no.
Oh, I don't condone violence in any way on the show. Just letting y'all know that.
There's no one here for me to slap.
Point taken. Yeah.
The
Yes,
fact that you
Point
got to
indeed.
taken.
threaten cheerleaders, though, man,
No, I
that's
said they needed to be slapped. That was the teenage self. I don't see it as
I
a
hate
sport,
this.
but you know what? They don't see wrestling as a sport, so it's an
Wrestling
impasse.
is definitely a sport. Somebody lied
Yes,
when
it
they said that.
is.
hmm But it wasn't until my early to mid 20s that I was at a show. I was actually at a WWE event. Can I say WWE on here? Can I?
You
Mm,
can say whatever you want.
Well, I was at a WWE event and I was talking about backstage and things like that. And a guy was like, "How do you know so much?" I'm like, "Because I wanted to be a wrestler." Like, I was in my 20s now. Backstory, real quick. When I was 16, Ian Rotten of EFW wanted me to be a valet. My mom, however, was like, "I'm not having my 16-year-old daughter in a locker room." So that got squashed.
Oh man,
mm.
Ian.
I mean, come on, let's be real. Who would want their 16-year-old innocent child innocent daughter, virginal daughter, in a locker room.
You got a point.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until Rick Roberts, I think his name was, I can't even really remember, was like, hey, I wrestle at CWA. I'm like, I didn't know there were indie promotions in Cleveland. Okay, cool. And he said he would get me on the show, and I was like, okay. I did my first show with CWA, I want to say 10 years ago, possibly 11. Actually, it was longer than that. No, wow, a lot longer. Okay, so I did it in my early 20s. But it was my first show when CWA was airing on a public access channel.
I remember that. I do remember.
And it was right at the time of the Chris Brown Rihanna incident. So they pulled the original scenes we were supposed to have, and they didn't air. And Gmo was like, okay, come back. I like your look. You know, you're a female. Come on back. While I was there, I had met the person who would end up being my trainer. I'm not going to name drop. I'm out of respect for them. But, and people I would end up training with and becoming essentially my extended wrestling family I met at my first CWA show. Initially, I was being a home health aide. I thought I didn't have time to train. So I'm like, I'll just be a manager. I'll just be a valet. And a CWA show I was on, there was the Puerto Rican doll. She doesn't wrestle anymore, but she and we got into a skirmish and we fought all the way to the back. And I fell. I had a huge bruise on my butt the next day. And I was just like, that was so much fun. I want to do more. And the person who ended up training me was like, you know what? I just want to train you enough to have one match with her. I said, sure. Okay, totally. I'm in. Let's do it. And so the beginning of my training started. She got pregnant 2 weeks after I started training.
Dang.
Oh, just killed the whole angle.
And he's like, well, you're already in. You're already doing stuff. You want to keep going? I said, yes. I don't want to stop. Like, let's go. And that was the start of what led me to everything that happened in my wrestling career.
Hey.
Like,
wow.
Okay,
all
now
things by
I
chance.
met you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool chance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I met you, I want to say 2010. 2010, 2011. Right. It's hard knock wrestling. Black owned, black supported, somewhat. What was that like? Because by that time you're established. If I'm not mistaken, you were the commissioner at that point. Yeah, I knew it. Yep, there you go. I knew I had it right.
And partial owner too, yeah.
Okay, well, you were commissioner. All I knew was you were commissioner. You didn't tell me you was part owner. So by that point, you're commissioner and you're running things. What was that like for you? I know people think it's like storyline and everything, but for the Black community, especially young women who were attending these events, that was big to see Black women running the promotion and essentially busting other people's heads, whether they were male or female. What was this like for you at that time?
For me, it was incredibly empowering because you say established. I say I'm still trying to be established.
Well, you got to remember, that was when I met you.
I know, but I'm saying thank you for that. But for me, it was empowering because you have these dudes who were like 2 times my size and 3 feet on me. And I'm like, do you want to lose your title? And
that was her favorite line. I remember that now. I remember this now.
And
I think you said that to a couple of champs that were they're still wrestling or still active. I'll say that.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Mm-hmm.
Again, I remember you saying that the one who I'm under at the point right now. Like, do you want to lose your title? Like, that really works. Well, and then they back down.
Here's the thing, though. You see, I was smaller then, but you see a small female who's bossing these guys around. Like, look, I control what happens in your career. It's powerful. It's sometimes intoxicating. Like, I have the power, I could be an evil genius, or it's I see that there's so many wrestlers with amazing potential who deserve to be where this guy is. Why is he the only one there? But to be that type of role model, to have little girls end up going on to wearing my t-shirts, to wanting my autographs, it's incredibly humbling. Because at the time, you didn't see a lot of black females in wrestling. A lot of black females in power. And empowerment is something that as black women, we don't have a lot of. There's not a lot of positive black female role models, especially not in wrestling. They're very few and far between. And the one thing about me while I was in power was I was a respectful black female. I was a respectful person in power. I wasn't walking around hanging everything out, having everything out, all my goodles out showing. I did it all with respect and class. Because a lot of people believe that to get ahead, you have to show everything. You can wear a nice dress, still be respectful, still show a little bit of cleavage, but still, leave something to the imagination. That's what ring gear is for.
True. And, I got to ask that too because, no, it's a huge point, because, like, I would say for me, just in general, because growing up watching, WWE and WCW, ECW, stuff like that, and seeing the, women they would have on there, once in a while you would get a woman who you knew was strong or who you knew was respectable and didn't have to flash a whole lot. You know what I mean? So, like, I would say like Nia Jax, someone like that,
I love her. She is amazing. And
yeah.
I think
to be played with.
Right? Like, she
what
comes.
I'm saying?
There are a lot of there's a lot of females, and it's hard to get. You can get lost in the shuffle. But Nia Jax is a perfect example of a woman who isn't showing everything. She is a plus size queen who owns it and kills in the ring.
Yep.
Some people argue with me. I don't care. That's my opinion.
No, that's valid.
Like,
we can't argue.
I didn't do flippy stuff in the ring. I will never do flippy stuff in the ring. I was, even when I come back, which is I'm planning on, I have no intention of doing flippy stuff. I have had 3 kids. I have put on some weight. Gravity works. I do not. But I think now the one thing that's missing is body positive females. You have so many small women. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to... Zoe Sky is a small woman. She is tiny. Even when I was still a skinny person, I looked like King Kong next to her. And it looked like I was murdering this little girl. But you look at all the divas, all the knockouts, all the whatever AEW calls them. Yeah. All of the women in wrestling are these small, tiny, fragile-looking creatures. But then you get chicks like Havoc. You get chicks like, come on, not Jessie Smothers, like Mickey Knuckles. You get plus-size women. Where's the plus-size black woman to look up to?
Man, few and far between.
I mean, the beauty standard has been a European look. Where is the girl, the thick girl with an afro?
Exactly. I mean, to be honest, like for me, and she's not considered like, a large individual, but I know when Naomi came on the scene, that was huge.
She's thick. We'll give her that.
Naomi is a large. Naomi is a large individual. Her and the butt are large individuals.
Man, but it was crazy to see that. Being?
Yes, everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. That is a tag team. That is a handicap match. I don't think people understand that. Y'all paying attention to the wrong stuff. Like, that is a handicap match. You can't go against her and then think her butt is not going to be involved in the match at some point.
Point taken, because one of her moves involves
a butt attack.
Yes.
It's a butt attack. She will fling
you across the other side of the ring. You come back, and she literally will lead with that and will knock you on the back.
I mean, and that's, but she's a body positive female, But
yeah, she is.
There's few and far between. And that's one thing that I want to do with my comeback that I'm working on is body positive Black female role model. Yes, I'm plus size. Guess what? I could still whoop you in the ring.
And she actually can. I've seen a few of her matches.
Size, I'm so pretty. I'm plus size, but I'm so pretty. Weight doesn't determine beauty. Doesn't determine agility.
Exactly.
And Nia Jax is a perfect example of that. You watch her go in the ring, and you're just like, get it, girl.
But then again, her costume is very misleading because when you see her in street clothes, it's a totally different story.
Yeah.
But again,
she got y'all food. She got everybody food. That is misleading.
Well, she's beautiful. She is a gorgeous woman. Like, I give credit to her Samoan bloodlines. Wish I had some of the Samoan bloodlines, but I don't. So I'm just gonna go. Look, you can take that however you want. That can be taken any way. But I am a proud Black woman. Which,
that's it.
Go ahead.
We encourage free speech here. We're not taking nothing from you.
Right, exactly. And like you said, Bobby, we need more of that.
We do.
It's one of those things where, like, because I know growing up, I didn't see it. You know what I mean? And then, like, my daughter.
We had Jacqueline, but she wasn't. By that time, she was on her way out.
Yeah, that's true too.
Jacqueline and Jazz. If you look at those two prime examples, Jacqueline was during the TNA, show off more gravy matches, the least respect, the misogynist matches, the Halloween costumes. Whereas if you look at wrestling today, in this current status, women are actually dominating. You wouldn't see this, gravy match, a pudding match, Playboy suit thing. And that's the thing. You have daughters. Would you want your daughters to be like, oh my gosh, I want to have a pudding match? Or would you want your daughter being like, I want to whoop like Nia did. I want to handle my own.
Because that's the thing. Like because now, the way it is now, I feel more comfortable with them seeing that. But when we were growing up,
it was
unless you were China, like it was like you had China and then you had absolutely right. But
now that
was
you put
China
it in that
or just like everybody else, because she was just like jacked and just slamming cats, and it was like you knew it was coming, right? You either had that look or you had
China was one of my role models,
or the heels and all that, So
I got to be honest. With you guys. I hate you guys right now because now that I look at this, now that I think about this scenario, we as kids we loved all the pudding and bra and panties matches. Now I'm thinking about it because I got daughters now.
Y'all did. I
didn't. And I just hate you guys now.
Oh man, look. I will say this though.
Attitude Era was boundary pushing.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it was. It was Jerry Springer meets wrestling, and that's how it got viewers back.
Right. Yeah, very much so. But it was damn entertaining.
If you looked at it through a female perspective, though, there were very few women who, through the generations, like my inspiration. I've been asked, who are my inspirations? Miss Elizabeth being the first.
Okay.
Because Miss Elizabeth was classy. She was the opposite of what Scary Sherry ended up being.
Hey,
and you think about Miss Elizabeth,
Sherry's awesome.
Grace and class. You think nobility. You think about China. You think that is a woman who gets in there and is pugging with men.
Yeah. Very much.
But you think Trish Stratus, what do you think?
Trish Stratus?
Look, there.
That's what I was talking about. That's that separation. It's like that's what's crazy. Back then, it was like you had this or this. There was no
happy
merger of that. No, it was non-existent. It was non-existent. I feel like now you can see the merger where it's like, okay, they have clothing that it's sometimes it's like, okay, it's practical. It works in the ring. Sometimes it's like, okay, they're showing off a little bit today, but they mix it up. It's not like consistently, like you said, Trish Stratus. I'm like, as soon as you said that name, Took me.
As soon as I said that,
I
was thinking of work on both of you.
I was
about to say, I was thinking on a couple things that could have went.
Hey,
that could have went 3 different ways in my book.
Exactly. Or even Lita.
Now, see, this is a good example.
The only thing I think about Lita is Edge and Matt.
Oh, see, for me, when I think about Lita, I think Hardy Boys.
Hardy Boys. And what was one of her key gear things that we all saw back in the 90s? Cisco made a song about it. Come on, boys.
We thought.
Yep.
Her song was in clear view.
Hey, since you brought her up, I didn't realize. Since you brought her up, I didn't realize she was one of the Godfather's hoes.
I know. She was. Victoria was.
No, she's Lita.
When her and when Eddie Guerrero was in the shower with 2 hoes, she was one of them. That's why they blocked out the face every time they re-show it. Because that was how she got her start. Now, Victoria was another one that you got to think of. She wasn't just, the body. She had that power. She had that ability to wrestle to where you're like, she can knock out a man and not even think twice.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That is true.
And back in the day, a lot of women didn't need training. Oh, you're pretty. Come on.
That's true too.
Jacqueline whooped Trish and Lita's butts and was like, you gonna learn. I paid my dues, you will too.
Mm-hmm.
You watch those matches, she mollywopped the hell out of him a few times.
But then again, she fought like a dude anyway. Like, you got to remember, for those that are
trained
watching,
with men, you hit like a man.
Yeah,
exactly. And you see a difference.
And for those watching, Jacqueline is an OG. Don't ever let anybody tell you different. Jacqueline is an OG. When I first saw her, she was she was a valet, but she was more of an enforcer for Kevin Sullivan. And whatever Kevin didn't feel like doing, he sent you to the outside. You was getting tagged by Jacqueline. So, she was one of those black influences for females that was just more or less, this is how I learned, this is how you gonna learn. You either like it or you can take one on the chin. And it was just, she was one of those bad women.
I mean, okay, so Mel, you have heard for years about my forearms.
Yeah, I've seen them. I'm still trying to figure out how you never got disqualified.
because
bro, you hit me with one of those. The match is over.
Had said.
Just being honest. You hit me with that. The forearm. Who was that girl you were wrestling in Hard Knock? I can't remember. There was one girl. I just don't remember who it was. She was real, not skinny. Skinny was. Y'all was about the same height. She had a big ass head. Yeah, that was her. The forearm she hit this girl with. If you hit me with that, the match is over. Everybody enjoy the rest of the show. I'm going to the back. I ain't even worried about my pay. Matt, good night.
So let me ask this. Is it one of those ones where, like, if you get clipped just right, you flip and hit your chest?
It's one of them. I'll put it this way.
I know she's gonna explain it like it hurt.
But I'm gonna tell you how I saw it.
Okay.
If she hits you with this, you're going to want to fight. The match is turning into an instant fight. Like, this is one of those. If this was UFC, she would have got disqualified for an illegal move.
Oh man.
That's how it looked. That's how it came off to me. I'm not sure that's really what it is. But when I saw this match against her and Tina, if you hit me with that, the match is over. I'll see you in the locker room.
As long as it don't catch me in the neck, like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
Man, she caught this girl square on the jaw. Like, if she would have came with enough force, I think she would have broke this girl's jaw.
Oh man, you have to do her that bad. Ooh. She owe you money?
Probably. I don't know. But if you hit me with it, the match is over.
One match. So she and I have had quite a few matches all over Ohio. And there was one match where it wasn't supposed to be a long match, so I didn't put my sports bra on, wasn't really prepped for a match. And she unzipped my outfit, and girls came flying out.
Oh, see, it's on after that.
So,
I get it now.
I was still kept that in the back of my mind, like, I'm going to get you later.
Just saying it.
But my forearms, however, my forearms, men complained about them too. So Mel's not alone on it. But my trainer had said, if you complain about getting hit from a little girl like that, you I'm not going to swear. I'm going to respect. But the B word was used. You a little if you complain about getting hit by a girl like that.
I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say what I want to say. I don't give a fuck. You hit me like that. Match is over. I'll see you in the locker room, and I hope you ready for what's coming after that, because I might throw a chair at you or something. Bro, and if I remember this correctly,
okay.
If I'm gonna try to recall this, because this is how I saw it. You sent her to the ropes. She came back, and all I saw. You ever watch those anime movies where the punch or the kick is coming like dumb, stupid fast, and you see all the streaks coming by, and then it lands? That's how it looked to me.
Oh man!
And I'm sitting ringside, so I see this. Sent her to the ropes. Girl coming back. She's and I'm like, ooh, that should be illegal. And I know people heard me. Because we were where was that show at? I want to say that show was at Euclid Square.
Wait, that was the Euclid Square?
I think it was.
One?
Probably. In one of them small rooms.
Yeah, now that you mention I vaguely remember. I vaguely recall such an incident.
Sent her to the rope. Everything looked like it was about to come off smooth. I was like, and I know people heard me, because in that big of a room, you can't help but get heard.
Now, was it one of those ones where, like, when it connect, you hear it?
Yeah,
you heard it. You definitely
heard it. Oh, damn. Okay, yeah.
You always hear mine.
All right.
I heard it. I heard it. I heard the crowd. The crowd got silent. I said, that should be illegal. Everybody around me started laughing. I'm looking at everybody else like, y'all didn't just see the same shit I saw? No? Man. Okay. That's fine. You hit me like that, match is over. I don't care. Match is over. And I dare the promoter to say something to me behind the shades. I would smack him too. I get it. I get it. You're gonna get hit, but you're not gonna hit me like that.
You're lucky that you weren't around during JT Lightning. May he rest in peace. JT Lightning did not put up with that. There is a story on the Jake the Snake Roberts documentary about JT Lightning.
Nice.
About he was at Cleveland All Pro, and JT ended up whooping his ass in a big way.
What you remember, that was JT though. JT, for those watching again, JT Lightning, one of the Cleveland wrestling legends, if not regional wrestling legend, trained a lot of people from Johnny Gargano to J-Rock. Shout out to J-Rock. And he's a legend.
Williams.
The rest of his soul, because he passed away a few years back. But I've heard that story. But what I want you to understand, and what I want Ronnie to understand is this is a match. From what I was told, you're supposed to protect your partner. You're not supposed to kill him.
So
you could have killed that girl. If that wasn't her jaw, that was a great connection. Like if that wasn't her jaw.
Let me just if your match was stinking up the show, he would send either Jason Bane.
Oh my God.
Or he is now, I think, Eric in WWE.
Oh, Eric Rowan. Okay. Yeah.
To clear out the ring. So
that's rude. That's rude, man. That's rude. Why would you do that, man? You can't. Whatever happened to peace?
I know Shane Taylor did it a few times too. That is my boy for life.
Y'all in this violence, man. Y'all just.
If you can't take it, don't get in the ring.
I can take it, but damn, y'all, they gotta kill each other, man. You look. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna just leave it alone after this. Mm-hmm. I get it. I get it. She released the tatas. She ain't supposed to do that. But if that wasn't that girl's jaw that sound made, that was a great connection. Because I swear I thought you broke her jaw. I promise you, I thought that's why I said that should be illegal. Because what I heard and what I saw sound like a broken jaw in any other fight. If a boxing fight, a regular street fight, an MMA fight, that sound like a broken jaw. And
I'm good at what I did.
She looked dizzy for the rest of the fight. She looked dizzy. Looked real dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just letting you know, I don't care. You hit me like that, match is over. I'll see you in the back.
See,
and I'm telling your mom.
My mom's dead.
Oh,
so
man,
you telling, a Ziploc bag.
I don't mean just you. Anybody. I'm telling your mom you hit me like that.
I mean, you can tell my dad, and my dad would be like, "Did you deserve it?"
No. That wasn't part of what we had discussed.
If you got in the ring with me, you probably had it coming.
Man, you just violent. That's just admit it.
I mean, have I ever denied it? Have I denied in the past 31 minutes that I'm not violent? I talked about
you haven't.
Cheerleaders.
Nope.
So I mean,
well, everybody wants to beat up a cheerleader from time to time. I mean, that goes without saying, man. I know football players. I know guys I've played with that throwing footballs at cheerleaders. So you're not alone in that.
Unless it's Gabrielle Union cheering.
Oh man.
Okay.
We all went there for a second. It's okay.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah. I can't say I'm with that one. I can't. I'm just being honest. I can't say I'm with that one. Yeah.
Like that would just be one where I'd be like, "Hi." Like
yeah, just bring it. It's already been brought in.
And it's one of those. I respect you so much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Wow, they brought him back.
I know. It's just sitting there. I'm like, dang. All right. Yeah. You really back in. You know what I mean? Yeah. That was a gut punch. If anything, I was like, oh. Yeah, she called us, bro. She hit us with that.
Okay. Moving right along. Okay. You take a step away from the ring, and you end up jumping the broom, get married. And I understand it because I haven't met him yet, but I understand your husband is also a wrestler. What is it like being in a wrestling family? What is it like being now in a true wrestling family?
Well, on top of that, you also have to remember that Chase Aarons is my brother, and he lived with us for about 10 years. So it's a house of wrestlers.
I forgot he was your brother. Like y'all are totally opposite outside of the ring. You're friendly. He's kind of I hate you some days. So it's like I'm not saying that's how he is all the time, but it's like some days you be scared to want to say hi, or do I speak to him? Do I just let him go? Do I give him my lunch money?
He's actually more friendly than I am. He is one of the sweetest, friendliest guys. I'm actually like I say on a daily basis, I hate people, which is hilarious for someone who actually works with people.
That's usually how it goes.
But I did step out of the ring. I had kids. Being in a wrestling family. Well, I'll tell you, watching WWE events is not like it is with normal people. Like when we watch the Rumble, we all guess who's going to come out. And when we would have a group of pre-COVID, when we would have a group of people over, whoever guessed right and whoever guessed wrong got chopped. And the person who was giving who guessed right would chop people.
Nope.
People would go home with hand marks across their chest.
I'm not going to your house.
Ooh, not the bare chest chop. Ooh,
man.
It depends on how much trash the person talked.
I've been chopped, and I'm here to tell you that shit is not fun.
But like sometimes we'd hold the guy's arms back, lift his shirt up, and whoever guessed right would.
Oh, see, y'all just overkill with that, man.
Yeah,
that's just rude.
That's just harsh.
I'm coming over your house. I ain't guessing shit. I'm just gonna
Bro,
stay quiet.
as soon as she said that, it took me back to like, just some random soul being in the corner of the turnbuckle and getting one of them Ric Flair chops,
Man, what?
and the whole crowd just hear it just echo throughout the whole arena.
Nope. I'm gonna sit right in the corner. Mel, who you think coming out?
That's why we would have like special events like Pop-Tart tasting or like cheesecake mania, where people would come, they'd bring this, and then we'd watch the event, and then you'd guess, because it lowers your guard, because you're eating, you're hanging out, it's cool. Like, well, I think Elias is coming out. Well, I think Jericho's coming out. Break the walls down, hits, and all of a sudden they're sitting there like, oh crap.
What did I do? Y'all know too much.
Well, it's also, we would have a lot of other wrestlers over, so it wasn't like some unsuspecting, innocent, just new wrestling fan sitting in our house watching this going, why am I getting smacked? No, it was people who have been through it and could hold up against it.
I'd be the one sitting there. What kind of serial killers are you?
I couldn't do it. I'm sorry, man. Them chops. Ooh, it's my year one. It's like Oof.
Well, I felt that I felt it, and he didn't even go full strength, and it hurt. Like, he gave me one of those, and I was like, hey, wait, hold up, time out.
It's funny the way my mind works. The first thing I think when I see one of those is, does it matter if you have hair or not?
No.
Does that even lessen the blow at all or make it worse?
Not even.
No, wait for your top day. Because when that day happens,
I'm going to chest protectors.
Oh, sweetie, it doesn't work like that. Like, I'm having them to unblock your trainer just to say hi.
Don't do that. We didn't have you on the show. You kicked off Women's History Month for us. Don't do that. Don't do that. Look, I will write the FCC myself and tell them you was talking bad about them. Don't do that. We've been doing so good. We're doing so good.
Oh.
I love you like a distant cousin. Don't do me like that. Man.
Well, see, in wrestling family, we are cousins. Wrestling family wise, we are cousins, because your trainer is brothers with.
And I get that.
Who does he consider his brother?
Too many people. It's two. It's actually
my trainer.
Your trainer and Michael Tarver, and it's funny. You know how I didn't realize who Mike Tarver was until I actually seen him face to face. Because when I met him, he was a football player in Akron.
Oh wow!
And this is how this story. But this is how this story plays out.
Mm-hmm.
It was told to me because I didn't see it there. I wasn't there. I got there like a year after the incident happened. But there was an on-field incident that turns into this big melee. And from what I was told, this is how the Superman punch was invented for him.
Wow.
Was that somebody decided to be stupid enough to approach him. And the dude came up, and it just was a knee-jerk reaction. Bam! And he hit him to the point, his face mask was like here. So there's a big, maybe 2-inch gap. And his fist, which is pretty big, got through the face mask and broke this dude's nose. And
I believe it.
And from what I was told, that's how the Superman punch got invented.
Makes sense.
So for me, it was like, why would you see how big he is. Why would you even attempt to approach him in a violent manner? That was how I met him. And then I met him at the Great 8 tournament for Hard Knock. And I was like, you look familiar. I know you from somewhere. He's like, I don't think so, little man. I'm like, no, your giant ass look familiar. And it turns out when I seen him, When I seen him do the Superman punch in the ring, that's when it clicked. I'm like, I know that motherfucker. I don't know him, but I know who you are. And I was like, I'm telling Gabe I see you. And that's when he looked at me and smiled. That's how I figured out that was him that almost killed the dude in the Superman punch. But yeah,
we are wrestling cousins. We are wrestling cousins.
But you ain't got to do me like that, though. You ain't got to do me like that. You're a friend of the show now. Don't mess it up.
Okay, I won't. I will behave. But besides, Cleveland won't have me back because I burned too many bridges anyway.
Oh, man.
I kind of set fire to everything on my way out. So
I don't even want to know. I don't know. Wow. I don't want no parts of that.
Well, I'm just saying, as a female in wrestling, I was connected to another wrestler, and Mel, you already know who I'm talking about.
I know.
And because of what transpired and that wrestler now being behind bars for the next 6 to 7 years, karma, a lot of people took sides and it wasn't mine.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot lately, and I was gonna ask, what do you feel would need to change in order for it not to be that way anymore? Because I've not just from you, but I've heard a lot of stories about things like that going on behind bars.
About that guy in particular?
Not that guy in particular, but incidents.
Okay.
Incidents involving female wrestlers.
Well, for starters, the one thing I could say for a fact is no female in wrestling has not been sexually assaulted at least once. For a fact. Why does it happen? Because wrestling is a brotherhood. Keyword brother. So yeah, I'm a sister, I'm family. But I said something that your brother, something against your brother. All of a sudden, I'm a rat. All of a sudden, we're not going to book her. This doesn't just happen to me, it happens to many females. Because it's a brotherhood. And unfortunately, what is the first thing that people do when they're protecting the family? They close in the ranks. And it happens to almost every female in wrestling. Because I can say without a doubt in my mind that every female in wrestling has been sexually assaulted in one way, shape, or form. Let's not even talk about the harassment that they've gotten from fans who have crossed boundaries, who send the unsolicited dick pics in the DMs, or who ask females, "What's your bra size?" thinking that that's a great pickup line. It's not. But because men.
Yeah,
I said I didn't know they did that.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's this one fan that all the indie female wrestlers had. His name was Sam. Don't remember his last name, but he would ask the creepiest questions and say it was because of his wife and his daughter share a Facebook with him. And he'd message after I would upload a video, "Did you work her arm real good?" Whoa, it's not that type of kink, dude. No. But the problem is the lack of respect for females, because we're going in there. This is a man's world we're going into, right? So the problem with it is, how do we get men to understand that we're your daughters, we're your sisters, we're your moms. We deserve respect too. Hey, I might be something that's showing some booty. It doesn't mean you get to grab it. Hey, we're in a battle royal. Keep your lips off my mouth. Hey, the idea of spanking me in a match is not okay with me. My body, we're trusting each other in the ring, but yet you're taking liberties with me. But if for a female, if you say anything, oh, they're just drama, they're extra. There's a lack of accountability being held.
Right.
And that's always been an issue, and I'm talking all the way from the top. Randy Orton, WWE's Randy Orton, crapped in a bag of a female who shot him down. Rumor was it was Sassy Stephanie. I don't know that for a fact. But that was the rumor, was he crapped in her bag while she was extra talent. Because she turned him down.
That's crazy.
Because if you're a bigger wrestler, you're allowed to get away with it.
Nah, I don't agree with that one. I
Unfortunately, again, it's a brotherhood. Wrestling is a brotherhood, which as much as people say, oh, females are family too, there's other females that are married or engaged, and you see their dude is hanging out with rats after shows, hooking up with rats. But am I going to run and tell that female what I saw? Keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, you didn't see anything. But as a woman, where's my respect of myself if I can't tell somebody who I say is a friend of mine, look, I saw your man doing this and that. But in wrestling, you're not supposed to say anything because it's a family. But it's a family only protecting the men. I burned a lot of bridges in Cleveland because I used my voice. Because I also don't know when to shut up. But it's because I said, this person's a bad person. This person is a predator. Watch your children around him. There are tweets verifying this from 6-7 years ago, verifying my exact words. But he kept getting booked a bunch of places in Ohio. I did not. And this was before I was pregnant. This was before I had my kids. This was when I was still active. My book was lessened. His remained the same. When there was a known predator, which so many wrestlers after he was arrested came out and said, oh, I always knew the dude was bad. Why'd you have him over your house for WrestleMania? Oh, the dude was a scumbag. Why'd you have him at your kid's birthday party? All these people who were like, oh, brother. And then once he got arrested was like, oh, no, he was always a bad guy. I have pictures of you at Bouncer Fest with the dude, so don't even try to play it.
You know, it's so much easier to put people on the bus when they're already under it.
It's so easy for people to be like, well, I always knew they were bad. I always knew this person was that. But the people who are standing there from the jump saying, hey, this isn't a good person, are the people who are still struggling to get their answers out. Like when the Me Too movement in the wrestling family hit, I was like, finally. It was around the same time that he got arrested. It was finally vindication. But if as a victim, I hate using that term, but as somebody who has been the victim of sexual assault, as a woman in wrestling who has been assaulted and spoke on it, you can see why it takes victims years and years to come forward.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, she's making it up. It's because the victim is automatically looked at worse than the person who committed the crime. And in wrestling, the victim is worse than the criminal. Well, you knew what you were getting into, or, you know, you weren't assaulted.
I hate hearing that. I'm like, how do you know? Like, how do you, because at the end of the day, when you started out, that's not what was presented to you. You know, you don't go into it thinking like, it's possible, it's going to happen. It's like, that's not the case every single time.
That's not what you think.
Every single thing that you're involved with. Yeah.
But
exactly. You know,
people also fail to realize that abuse is a cycle. And, you know, because abusers are very charismatic. If they could fool you into liking them, how many other people did they have fooled into thinking they were a good person? I mean, that's what narcissists and sociopaths do. It's a huge science of it, which is completely off topic, but there are a lot of them in wrestling. And the saddest thing is that they're predatory. And that's what worries me about girls being in wrestling. Honestly, I think that when girls get trained in wrestling, they need to have it's almost like you need to have a buddy system with you.
For sure.
Because there's no one to fall back on and be like, hey, this happened to me. I'm not okay. Because the wrestling trainers are all male. I'm not saying all males are dogs. I'm not saying all wrestling trainers are pigs. I'm not saying all wrestling trainers do things with their students. Mine was a very respectable trainer. I'm saying that there are predators in wrestling who take advantage of women in wrestling. And there's the stigma that women are rats, that fans are rats. Now, it's really just setting up oh, it's because she sleeps with the wrestler. It's not because the wrestler was talking to her and she thought she had a relationship with him. It's automatically, oh, she sleeps with wrestlers. It's not, oh, these wrestlers preyed on her. Let's break it down to what it is. Because of it being a family, it's, oh, I'm going to pass you to this chick. Just tell her this, and X, Y, Z. And, it's on. Instead of respecting women, it's, oh, I can bait. Because I remember getting in wrestling and asking, who are the rats for the female wrestlers? And the joke is, the male wrestlers. Really? I think that we need to lose the stigma of rats. I think we need to also work on respecting women in the business as equals. And the business isn't going to change until we address what the situations are. Until we address there's somebody doing some problematic stuff and everyone else is looking the other way. Until those things are addressed, it will not change. And it's something that it's almost the 1 year anniversary of the Me Too movement in wrestling. Mm. And again, I say this, you think you have daughters. Yeah. You have moms, you have sisters. Now, sitting there, if this was your sister, if this was your aunt, if this was your daughter, you'd be wanting to rip somebody's head off. But females in the business sit in silence. Because if we talk, we lose bookings. If we complain about anything, we lose bookings. If we say that somebody's a bad person, we lose bookings. Instead of holding accountability to the people and where it belongs.
Right. Man. And it's a shame, like when that happens and that power is held to the point where it's like, okay, you can lose something like with your current group, and then that can carry over. Let's say if you do try to jump to, a different organization or a group that you want to wrestle with or for, and they're like, oh yeah, this one right here, yeah, watch out because
you get blackballed.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I've been blackballed. I'm saying that I set fire to everything and said, no, you were okay with this person. You were okay with this person. You were down with this person. You stopped booking me. You stopped booking me. You stopped booking me. If I never wrestle again in Ohio, I know why I did it and I stand by what I say. Mm-hmm. And people can say it's because I'm a crap wrestler. People can say it's because I'm plus size. People can say whatever they want. Y'all know who trained me. Y'all know what I can do in the ring. So let's not try to diminish me to make yourself look better.
Very true. Very true.
There it is.
I went from A to Z. It got intense.
Mm-hmm. It did.
Hey, that's what it's about.
But it happens.
That's what it's about. Yeah, man. That's what it's about. Seriously,
All right.
You gotta have them conversations.
You said you were making your comeback. Not a return, but you're making your comeback.
I'm working on it.
What do you hope to accomplish now, years after marriage and the kids?
Well, what I want to accomplish is, one, I've always been the queen. There's some young girls running around being like, oh, I'm the queen of Ohio. No, little girl. I was there before you.
Uh-oh.
I'm not naming names.
Oh, boy.
But I will just what I would like to accomplish is there are some younger girls who came in who need to be taken down a few pegs, because wrestling is big about respect. Respect is a huge thing in wrestling. If you don't respect who came before you, you need a few lessons. And there's some girls, I use the term loosely, who don't have that respect. Some girls who didn't have the type of training I did, where your trainer will whoop your ass for getting out of pocket. Because my trainer, again, not name dropping, my trainer, if we messed up, this was back when we would wrestle down at the Shamrock in Barberton. It was worse than any explosion you would ever want to see. Chairs would be thrown across the room. There would be screaming, yelling, tears, not just for me, but there were some guys too. But because, one, you disappointed your trainer. 2, the crowd deserved better from you. 3, you are nobody. There are thousands of other people like you out there. And you're not doing your best. And there are some girls who were given a lot of opportunities and took advantage of situations in the climate that they were in. Again, I'm not using names, Mel. It's okay. I'm not going to do that.
This is just so enthralling.
Juicy?
Like I'm ready to see what happens now. I don't know who's gonna watch this in the wrestling world, but damn it, I'm interested in seeing what happens.
I mean, if anyone watches it in the wrestling world and is like, man, I want her back, or if people watching like, you can keep that drama over there. You know what? I don't want to be a party. If all you think is I'm drama for using my voice, okay, bye. Guess
I
what?
just want to see I just want to see who responds to this. Like this taking a few pegs down. Like I'm interested in who these people are. I'm about to start doing some research.
I mean, again, I had my son in 2014. So from 2014 to 2021, you can go from there and do some research from there. But I'm saying that some of them need to feel what a forearm feels like from a girl like myself. That some of them, that some of them don't know what it's like to be in the ring with someone like me. Because again, there are the small little Barbies, the small Zoe Skies who are amazing, high flying and dangerous and deadly and little ninja looking awesome people. Again, I give a lot of respect to Zoe Sky. I wrestled her a lot of my career. She got sick of me. I don't blame her because look, her next to me.
Oh, wow.
When I was small, she would disappear when I would go to send her off the ropes and I was standing in front of her. You couldn't see there was a person in front of me because she's tiny. However, some of these other girls who have gotten in while I've been out, I plan on retaking my title as queen. And I've got so many crowns and so much gear and so many plans because if I come back to Ohio right now, I'm leaning towards going to Pennsylvania first. Want to kick the rust off my boots, get some workout in the ring because I'm closer to the PA border right now. But I've been in talks to come back already.
Nice.
I've got the gear already purchased. I just need to work it into my actual feasible time because I am busy because during my downtime, I've become a doula and lactation counselor because there's an infant mortality rate for Black babies in Youngstown. Because Black babies aren't making it to their first birthday and we're trying to figure out why. Wow, it's a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 Black babies to 1 white baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
The things they don't put in the media, man. Did not know that.
Like the governor started a task force, actually. I'm not on it. One of my friends who's a nurse practitioner and my mentor is trying to get on it. But that's what I've been doing is doing positive things in the community for Black women, for breastfeeding, for infant mortality, for women's rights with hospitals and medical, because a lot of women don't know their rights when it comes to hospitals. A lot of Black women, there's a mistrust within the medical community, within the Black community.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because 51% of white med students believe that Black people have a higher pain tolerance and thicker skin. 51. This was a Harvard study. That's why I advocate for patients. That's why I am a doula. That's why I am lactation, because I've been doing the groundwork outside of the ring to help Black women in my community. What I want to do is also be that positive light inside the ring again, is to show that Black women can be moms. Black women can wrestle. Black women can kick ass. You can be plus size and still love your body and still own it and whoop somebody's ass in the ring like they owe you money.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, we need that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see your comeback. I am excited for the comeback. I can only imagine what these forearms going to look now with some oomph behind it.
Because, yeah, I know I gained weight from who I was, but you know what? The beefier queen of epicness just means she eats well and she hits harder.
Oh, Jesus. That's the last thing we need.
Plus, I do miss throwing people around the ring.
Of course. Everybody does. That's the first thing out of everybody. I just miss beating people up.
I do. I'm helping out the community so much, and there's so many stupid nurses and doctors who are ignorant and rude to patients that I'm just like, I need to get in the ring and like picture that doctor's head on somebody and just knock their head off.
Oh God! Then you go do it for real. I can only imagine you knocking that real doctor's head off. Yeah, incident out at Youngstown Hospital today.
No, I don't look good in orange. That's why I like all of this has been stored up for the ring.
Oh man. Okay. We do have a couple of topics to touch. If you want to stick around, you're more than welcome to. But if you got to take to the family, I completely understand. But you're always welcome back either way. But there's a lot that happened in the sports world within the last couple of days. We gotta touch it.
I'll let you guys do that. Thank you guys so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you guys so much.
No problem.
Absolutely.
See you next time.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so it was Bobby, the queen of epicness, and she's still as violent as ever.
That was a pleasure, man. Just hearing from her side and just kind of thinking about like all the different women in history that we, touched upon a little bit. And then to hear her perspective, see what she went through, and then also to be able to gain more insight as to what, a female wrestler would go through, because you don't want to assume anything at all, but to be able to hear that and hear it raw and unedited and up front, man, that was awesome. That was awesome, man. So Bobby, thank you so much for gracing us with that. Seriously.
Okay. This it just dropped on my line. LaMelo Ball in the NBA, we'll start there, is out indefinitely for the rest of the season with a fractured wrist.
Oh, yeah.
And what's crazy was I was actually going to start off with I was going to start the show off with my best LeVar Ball impersonation, but now I feel like I couldn't even have done it now because learning that LaMelo's hurt, and it just wouldn't be the same. I do believe that's all we have for the NBA at this point, but we're going to move on to soccer. The Cleveland Crunch kicked off their season, 10-game abbreviated season, Saturday night by beating the dog shit out of the Colorado Inferno 15-5. Now, kicker to that is they turned around today and did the same, or did more of the same, and end up dog walking the Inferno tonight, 9-2. I got to be honest with you. I was at today's game, and these dudes are for real. The chemistry was there, the teamwork was there. They look literally like Hector and Zoran's teams and Otto's teams of the 90s. Like they look ready.
And speaking of which, I do want to put this out there because we got to pump up the local guys. So shout out to Eastlake North High graduate Marahio Musa, who led that charge and got the Crunch off to a 2-0 start, and also had 12 saves. Okay, so
yeah.
Hey man, you gotta put the local people out there. You know what I mean? I had to throw it out there real quick. Just saying. So that was awesome to see.
You know what? Mario's an awesome dude, man. I just spoke with him in the locker room during halftime and after the game. He is cool. He got a great sense of humor. He looks mean guarding the net, but outside of it, he's a great guy. That whole team is great, man. Like those dudes know what it takes to be in that type of scenario as far as being, soccer players. But to see them on the field communicating, the coach, I don't want to butcher his name, so I'm gonna just call him Coach Lewis. Uh, he's in tune with the team, communicating. What do they see? What do they what do they want to change? Like it
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of communication out there today, and they were pretty much sound defensively, offensively. Then Colorado didn't score those 2 goals until garbage time. The game was over at that point. Like they had a 5-goal third quarter after halftime, and it was just like they just picked up where they left off. It was 4-0 at halftime. Mike Durzic once again got a hat trick before the first quarter even ended. He had a hat trick. So
and, and even with that, Mel, I gotta say too, just once again, shout out to Eric Davis, and Luciano Rasciuto, and making this dream happen. I mean, for me, it was like to hear the Crunch was coming back. I was excited about it. I know these guys were pumped up and even trying to get it going again, and to see it really come together and to see how dominant they were in their official first couple of games. It's just a dream come true, man.
I caught the coach at halftime, and he's like, "I didn't even expect to score that many goals, but I'll take as many as I can get."
Absolutely.
This team, if they go into, I think it's Muskegon out in April. If they go into Muskegon and dog walk Muskegon, and make a statement out of that game, I think this would be something for the league to take notice to, because expansion teams really don't, or really aren't supposed to do that well coming back off of hiatus or coming into the league. And this is a scenario where homegrown talent, the team is sound, and the chemistry is there. And that's usually a bad recipe for other teams going into a season.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. And, just once again, I got to say this again. So I know I gave a shout out to one guy, right, from East Lake North, but just the fact that the Crunch has compiled of so much local, homegrown talent, this is another one of those things like you and I were talking about, how you got schools like Cleveland State and some of these other ones that didn't have these football teams, and how much homegrown talent they could have got just doing that. But here you got an opportunity with the Crunch to be able to do something like that in the soccer world. So it's just dope to be able to see that, So I wanted to put that out again, man. This is great. I love what they're doing. I'm looking forward to seeing more from them. And I just couldn't be more prouder, man, to see another Cleveland team do its thing, man. So
yeah,
once again, shout out to Eric and Luciano for doing this for us.
Right. All right.
Oh, and this just in too. Let me throw this in there real quick. For you Cavs fans, the Cavaliers beat the Raptors 116 to 105. Yeah, man. 116 to 105. Nice. They were led by Colin Sexton, who ended up with 36 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. Yeah, man. Them boys, it was fire.
It was 25-28 when I got out of the car coming home. So, that was still the first quarter. And it's listening to it on the radio is not the same without Greg.
I can't do it. I can't do it, man. I gotta watch it. I can't listen to it though.
Yeah, but it's still not the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Next topic is probably our final topic, but a lot happened in this area, especially Saturday afternoon. And the beginning of that was Jackson State went into Alabama State, another showdown game. Jackson State was looking to go 4-0, and they fall to Alabama State in the Beehive, 35-28. The kicker to this was a running back for Alabama State. I hope I get his name right. Ezra Gray, my bad. Ezra Gray. 23 carries, 195 yards, 3 touchdowns. I'm not going to say that this team, because this was a game all the way through. I sat and watched it. Jackson State came back to tie it up and even took the lead. And every time it seemed like Jackson State got the lead, got a little room to breathe, Here comes Alabama State. I I'm still on the Jackson State train. I still believe in Coach Prime, but at the same time, it's games like this that I feel like are bringing black college football back to the forefront
Oh yeah, for
because
sure,
this
man. And
this game went down to the wire, literally the wire. With 35 seconds left, Jackson State threw an interception. Game was over.
let me ask you this,
It,
Mel, because with that game, you
Mhm.
know, Alabama State had a very big fourth quarter, and with that, what do you think led to it? Because from what I was seeing, it looked like it was a lot of big plays that was
Oh, it
given up
was.
in the
It
last
was on
like
both
3 minutes
sides.
of the yeah, last 3, 4 minutes
Yep.
of the game. I'm like, what is happening here? Like, because the
Two
defense
two
was
of those
clamping. So
two of
what
those
happened,
big
man?
plays. Well, two of those big plays were runs of 50
Hmm.
yards and runs of 43 yards, if I'm not mistaken, by Ezra Gray, and he's the home run hitter. So, two of those big plays for Alabama State came from big running plays. Jackson State, in between those big running plays, Jackson State had a kickoff return for a touchdown,
Hmm.
but that was called back. But they had a long pass play. It turns into a QB sneak for a touchdown. You know, the defensive part of the game was there, but it was those instances where the simple play turned into the big play.
Yeah.
So I won't say that the defense wasn't there because for those that didn't catch it, you have to watch those type of games to see what we mean. Like
Hmm.
the defense was there all game for both teams. It was only 14-6 at halftime. The explosion came in the second half when adjustments were made. So, you know, I think Coach Dion to have them ready for their next game, but I think this game in particular was what they needed. They're still leading the MAC. Was it the MAC West? I think they're still leading the MAC West because they're the only, you know, 3-win team in the conference, well, in that division. But
True.
at the same time, they are, you're not just playing for the division, you're playing for a conference championship and a national championship. And going up against Alabama State, now call it what it is. Alabama State's not a bad team.
True.
It was just, these big plays is what killed it.
And
And
well, I'm looking at this like what I'm seeing here, just looking at the stats real quick too, is it looked like each team definitely came in with their game plan, you know, and it seems as though Alabama State wanted to kind of spread it out, throw it a little bit more in the first half, stuff like that. They made their adjustments and they came out and did what they had to do. But what I'm seeing too overall, because I know we always have discussions about possession and controlling the clock and stuff like that. It shows right here that there was only a separation of about 8 seconds
from
between
time of
both
possession,
teams. Yeah, for possession, yeah.
oh
Because it
wow,
says that Jackson State had the ball for 29 minutes and 56 seconds, and Alabama State only had it just 4 seconds above 30 minutes. That's
wow.
how close that was. So I mean, they was banging. It wasn't like a situation where somebody was just up, crazy huge, and all of a sudden you just scoring like 4 or 5 touchdowns at once. This was a decent game, and I think I
Yeah,
want people to realize that you know it's stuff like this that you see where first of all you're getting that kind of play on ESPN2. Okay, so the thing is they're following these teams or whatever. And on top of that, man, when prime time is there, it's going to be a draw in general in terms of like the attention that's with it. And I do like the fact that it's allowing for the SWAC to have more of that publicity that it needed. And you're going to see more games like this to where there are some teams that may surprise you along the way. To your point, I still am as well bought into Jackson State for the season for sure. But just looking at this, do you feel like it was a matter of adjustment, or was it something around the fact of like maybe a trap game, or I mean, what would you say overall? Just looking at it.
Overall, I'm gonna say this. I don't think that Alabama State fell for the stigma of Dion being on the team. I don't think the intimidation factor was there for them. I think they went into this game ready and they knew everything that Jackson State was going to do. This is what we're going to
Hmm.
throw out there and hope it goes our way. And for them, thankfully it went their way. So I think this was more of a Alabama State was just ready. Just hands down was just ready.
Now let me bring one more thing to the light too. So I'm reading through this, okay, and this is taken from an article put out basically about Deion Sanders and the post game situation because they were saying like there was a little bit of antics that Alabama State chose to partake in. So they
Oh
said
God.
basically what happened is Sanders had a response of his own to the supposed jab from the Tigers' conference rival. He said it was childish because what they did was they took a photo, right, of Sanders from his draft day in 1989 on the video scoreboard and put it on there. And I'm not sure if that was like a way of just kind of like mockery or whatever, but I guess he didn't like it too much because after some of these games, I guess he's had a little bit more to say about certain things that happened either during the game or with the other side or the coaching and whatnot. So I don't know, man. It's just funny to see this stuff because I'm like, prime time is not gonna keep his mouth shut. We already know that.
Obviously.
But the cool part about it, I guess, is the players are responding to him. That's the most important part, because not a lot of guys on his level can translate this to coaching, and it's just cool to be able to see him do that. I guess that's what my final message is going to be about this game. But at the same time, man, I look forward to many more of these. I really
All I'm
do.
gonna say is don't poke the bear. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's true too.
Don't poke the bear. You piss off a bear, you get beat, you get ate, you get mauled. So
Hmm.
I I just don't see how this is gonna turn out to where they're gonna be okay with this the next game out.
Oh yeah.
His players are responding, and not only are they responding, they are behind him. So somebody gonna pay for it next game.
Hmm. It's gonna be ugly.
Very ugly. And speaking of ugly, in Division 3, our last part of this topic, probably going to close out the night. Um,
Hmm.
as we knew, it was big games in Division 3. One of those big games was John Carroll visiting Mount Union. And as we saw through the scoreboards, Mount Union once again handles business and beats John Carroll 51-27.
Mm.
Now, as of right now, there are 5 undefeated teams in the OAC. But here's the shocking for the OAC. One of those teams is not a team you normally expect to be up there, right behind Mount Union. I'm going to give you 3 guesses to who this team is.
Let's see. Mm, Baldwin Wallace.
No, they are 0-2, so that's one.
Dang. All right. Um. Ooh, don't expect up there. Okay. Wilmington.
You got it.
Really?
Yes, Wilmington is 2-0 after beating Otterbein on Saturday night or Friday night. Was it Friday night? Yeah, it was Friday night.
Wow.
So as of right
Wow.
now, the current undefeateds in the OAC, but it's bound to change. But the current undefeateds after week 2 in OAC play: Mount Union, Wilmington, Heidelberg, Marietta, and Ohio Northern. Those are the 5 teams leading the pack. But it shocked me to see Wilmington after yet again Wilmington's quarterback leads another fourth quarter drive to win the game.
Mm.
Now, what's big about this is that one, you don't normally see Wilmington in the mix for an OAC title, and they
True.
are right behind Mount Union. Now, I don't know how this is going to play out, but I do believe if I read this schedule right, there's three regular season games with a fourth as a crossover game.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm assuming is they split this up in divisions, and uh, there's going to be a crossover game between, I'm assuming, a northern and a southern team. Now, what I'm curious on is how is this going to play out, assuming Mount Union and Wilmington are still undefeated at the end of the season.
Man, I don't even know how to comment on that because the fact that you even got Wilmington in the mix, is what's throwing me off. I'm sitting here like trying to draw up a scenario, and I am blank. I need to see maybe a couple more Wilmington games, and then I can definitely give you, you know,
Hey,
I'm
dude,
shocked they're even there.
it's something I was it's something I was thinking about too, because one I saw. Well, first off, what brought me to this was the fact that a guest that we had on from a couple weeks back, Dame, went to
Mm-hmm.
Wilmington and he had posted that Wilmington had won another game, and I was like, it couldn't be true. Wilmington only wins one game a year, if with that. So I go to check it, and it's legit. It is legit. Another fourth quarter comeback, just like week one. So my thinking is, how long is it going to be, or is this the year that Wilmington finally turns it around? Which is a question that's always been burning in my head: was when is Wilmington going to turn it around? Because they
Mm-hmm.
need to actually get on board. It's a good school, bad football team. So when are they
Yeah.
going to turn it around? And apparently, COVID has done wonders for some, done curses for others. Wilmington just happens to be on that positive side where they get, a good quarterback and
Mm-hmm.
things are turning around. I'm curious to see how this goes. And I'm curious to see if Wilmington and Mount Union have a head to head to see who's going to take the title.
I'm glad you mentioned that because once again, like you said, man, these COVID years, man, these COVID seasons is something to be desired. Because,
Yeah.
like you said, if there's ever a time to steal one, it is the COVID season. And
Yes.
we see it happening. We see it happening everywhere. Speaking of which, prime example, and I'm going to drop that real quick. So, a lot of buzz around, with March Madness as well, and how one of the teams advanced because of COVID. So,
Yeah.
Oregon gets the nod because they had an issue with VCU and they couldn't play, so they automatically got pushed to the next round. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So what does that look like? You know, and then are they going to be fresh? Are they going to be sloppy? Because the thing about college players that I've seen, at least in basketball, is you got to keep these boys playing. You can't just let them rest like too much. I mean, a little bit is
Right.
good, but too much is bad for them. They can't stop and sit like that. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, man, I'm excited about this, man. To see Wilmington up like that, I hope it's not just one of those things where it's like, okay, it's a couple games in, maybe they kind of fall, a little bit or whatever. And I'm hoping it stays consistent, man. I really am.
Yeah. That would make for a great competitive OAC. And speaking of COVID and odd things happening, Oral Roberts right now is beating Florida 81-78 in the second half with 17 seconds to go.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
It's,
gosh.
it's not making this case Ohio State losing even better.
There's always that one team, man, and it's funny because I'm not shocked about Loyola Chicago because they did this a few years ago. This isn't new for them, you know. But Oral Roberts, who I didn't know they had a basketball team, bro. So to see them come through and potentially about to be in the Sweet 16.
Yeah,
I mean, they said first round, every bracket was busted first round.
man,
So
that's
there's
heartbreaking.
usually, yeah, there's usually that one
That's
person, who always has one guess or like got enough to get you to the Sweet 16. They're like, nah. After that first round, there was so many top seeds that just dropped. You
right.
know,
It's so
I
many
mean,
teams that should have moved on that didn't.
exactly. Because I was following it too, and there's some names in there. I was like, okay, I expected them to be there. Like the only number one seeds right now that are in the Sweet 16 currently is Baylor, and that's pretty much it. Everybody else has to play to get in, but Baylor is in.
That's
Everyone else has
exactly
either
why.
been knocked
That's
out or
exactly
has to play
why
still.
I didn't make a bracket this year. This is exactly why. This is because of COVID. This is why
Yep.
I did not make a bracket.
I stayed out of it too, because normally I do. And this is the first year I have not.
Mm.
And I said, I'm
Something,
not going to
something
fool with
told,
it.
something told me don't do it.
Mm-mm. Don't be surprised if it end up being, some team like Abilene Christian in the Final Four or something crazy. It ain't far
The way
fetched, man,
Oral
from what I'm
Roberts is
seeing.
playing, they might end up there.
Who you telling? I mean, at this point, they win this game, man. They can hit the Elite Eight. I mean, let's see. Because if they win, right, they'll face off against Arkansas, who was actually one of the better teams this year in basketball. It'll be interesting to see, you know. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think the game is over with. Now that you mention
Wow,
it, yeah, end of second. That's it. Oral Roberts
wow,
wins a score of 81-78 over.
wow.
They are going to the Sweet 16 against Arkansas. So another
Wow.
one bites the dust. Number 15, Oral Roberts. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's still going on. My bad. A couple seconds left. You know how it is,
The
man.
game's
Just hop
over.
in there. It's pretty much over with. But oh yeah, it's officially up. It just switched. I'm sorry. It's over with. It's over with. Number 15, Oral Roberts will face number 3, Arkansas. There you go, folks.
Wow.
So quick recap.
I don't even want to
Here's your.
recap it.
Oh man, it's great. It's great. So
Just leave
tomorrow's a
it
whole bunch of
alone.
games. It's a whole bunch of games tomorrow. I'm just gonna say that. But here's the ones I want people to check out. Check out Creighton versus Ohio University. That's a good one. Check out Gonzaga versus Oklahoma. That's gonna be a
Hmm.
nice one. And then Oregon versus Iowa. Yes, let's not forget there are still a couple of Big Ten teams left.
Like the
Iowa's
ones
still
that
in it.
should be there.
Right. Iowa's still in there. And then okay, so Rutgers was gonna be, but they lost. They lost to Houston. So Houston's now in the Sweet 16 against
Mhm.
Syracuse, who
Ooh,
knocked
that's a
off
good
West
one.
Virginia today. Yeah,
That's a good
Syracuse
one.
is sneak. They sneaking, boy. They sneaking. Nobody picked Syracuse to get this far, and they are in the Sweet 16. The magic of the March Madness, baby, is here. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I love seeing that. Oh, I love seeing that. Let me get a 15 or 11 seed to get to the Final Four. I love it.
We'll
Love
see
it.
how that works. We'll see how that
Love it.
works.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, that concludes this week's episode of 4th&15. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, find us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube. We have some very big things happening very soon. I can't say anything, but they're happening very soon. Um, Also, don't forget to catch me over on Cleveland Sports Talk as I'm still writing and still pushing out articles in the sports world for any and just about everything. Smooth will probably be checking out the NCAA brackets. So, if you want bracketology, talk to that man. I
Oh
don't do
yeah.
nothing till I don't do nothing till the Final Four because it's a lot easier.
Hey, you know what? I will say this. The way Oral Roberts is playing right now, folks, and you heard it here, they looking like Kent State 20 years ago. I'm just gonna put it
Yeah,
out there. Let me just put
yeah.
that out there. Okay? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So don't be surprised if they knock off the next one, man. They looking real nice.
Yeah,
Right.
they are. All right.
Now, Mel, let's
What's
remind
up?
our folks though, the next show will be Monday, correct?
Oh, yes. Yes. I forgot all about that. Thank you for reminding me. Our next show, March 29th, which is a Monday, will not be Sunday. It will be Monday, March 29th, as per our guest having that only open day. So, all I'm going to say is if you was a real Cleveland sports fan, I advise you to tune in because this man was a staple in this era of Cleveland sports at that time. He looks the same outside of his hair, but he does still look the same. Just keep that in mind. But just remember, and I will make an updated post for that in the days coming, that we will be airing on Monday night, not Sunday night, for March 29th.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks. For 4th and 15, I'm Mel. That's Smooth. Peace.
Peace.